Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, IndigoAngel. Come on into this dimension. Come on into this energy update. Come on into this hot, hot Florida weather. As it's already a little bit sticky out here, you guys. I'm telling you, it is heating up and it is just moist. It's getting super moist. That's the word that I'm going to use. I know it's like a cringy word, but you know, it's super humid down here in Florida and it's June 11th. So we're starting to get really warm and makes things really spicy because it's spicing up the topics, right? We're really aligning with the Orion system right now. We're aligning with the belt of Orion, with Betelgeuse, with Mintaka, with Alnilam, with Bellatrix, and this system is bringing us into the gate of man. Yeah, that's what we're really aligning to. And so we are starting to see more lucidity through the things that are happening on the battlefield, essentially. And so we have a really deep discussion to get into today. I hope you guys are excited for this discussion as I have been spewing over this topic. Oh my gosh, I just noticed something as well. I just noticed a fleur-de-lis on my cup. Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize I had this on my cup. Wow. So if that's not some symbol code coming through today for this, I don't know what is, because I've been picking up on fleur-de-lis implants in the Divine Feminine. And wow, I didn't even realize that. I'm blown away right now. I just looked over and I'm like, wow, no way. Yeah, guys, check on in for this live. Come on in. Wow, everyone is here. So beautiful. Hey, Pia. Hey, Isaac. Hey, Evie. Hey, Em. Hey, Connie. Come on in. Wow. It's so good to see everyone in the chat. And if you are new to the channel, just so you know, you do have to be subscribed for at least 60 seconds to get into the chat. And yeah, everyone, if you could put a big like on this video today as a courtesy and share this video out to your like-minded ascension friends, or should I say your like-minded truthers, as we're going to be getting into the Princess SRA. So this is a deep topic. This is a really deep topic, you guys. I've been just like spewing over where is my energy even sitting with this, because I feel like it's definitely one of these topics that pulls you out of like the new earth timelines, because you have to kind of come back into what's really playing out here in terms of the hierarchy structures, the political structures, the social structures, the draconic layers and laws and structures within the draconic seal set systems, the J seal set systems, the Lemurian divine feminine, male and female sexual implant systems and blockages. So what we're talking about today kind of encompasses all of these things, truly. And even just kind of tuning into each one of these princesses' fields, I was seeing seals that were running in their energy fields, like different ones within them. So why these princesses are chosen for this SRA in the first place, this was kind of where my focus has ultimately gone, is to look at is why are they chosen in the first place? So this kind of opens us up to deeper levels of discussion around the force breeder programs, which is a heavy topic in itself. One has to really kind of know about these things to truly understand it. And I know a lot of you really do, like, but there's a lot of lenses on this. So what I ultimately did was, you'll notice I went back and I kind of did a bunch of reposts on my channel. I reposted my Divine Feminine implant video that I had put out over a year ago. I think I put that out in 2022, but I just recently reposted it. And I commonly do that from time to time just because, yeah, if there's new people that have subscribed to the channel, you know, and they're not aware of this information, they can go and watch these videos and they can kind of catch up on it. And so I was kind of preparing everyone for this live by reposting the Force Breeder video to kind of go into the depth of what that is and what that looks like. So essentially, the Force Breeder programs have been going on since the beginning of humankind, essentially. And this all goes back through the history of the motherlands of Mu. This all goes back to the history of Lemuria and the great betrayal wounds that took place in the islands of Lemuria, essentially. And this took a lot of divine tribal women at that time for forced breeder programs, essentially, to mate with degraded reptilian bloodlines. And there's lots of them. You know, it's not just the Anunnaki. You know, it's the Nephilim, which they may be hybridized with the Anunnaki race line. And there's also the Draco and the Draco Anunnaki hybrids. There's also other negative forms, like amphibian beings, like specific types of amphibians, and also other forms of negative ET, like abduction programs. Like this is what the abduction programs are about. You know, a lot of this is around reproduction and fertility. So these race lines, you know, they would be the royal lines. This would be the United Kingdom. This would be the great royal monarchy, the British royal crown. This would be one of those reptilian bloodlines. I mean, they're basically from Alpha Draconis. They are the white reptilian. Well, actually, the United Kingdom, they're the red dragon lineages, essentially, because of the Welsh. Like, even if you look at the coat of arms, they have a red dragon on the coat of arms. And so they're not really hiding the bloodline, right? It's whether it's conspiracy theory or however one wants to take that, right? Like we've all seen the videos on YouTube with the queen transitioning and seeing like weird like gills and fins and like things popping up on their body. And you know, there's also the factor of the Rh negative rhesus as well that plays into this. So and the pole shift, right? Because we're in the time of pole shift and pole tilt. So essentially, you know, the queen passed. That was when we initially did our divine feminine healing womb class that we did, the whole course that we taught. The queen actually died the weekend we taught that. So that was a very significant weekend. I remember it very clearly and very well. And there's just a lot of all of this is tying the monarchy into the Draco system. Like even the Draco seal set system, one of the seals is the monarchy seal. So I don't know if you guys have heard about the monarchy seal, but essentially, the monarchy seal was implanted basically as another layer of a frequency fence that was kind of passed on and through the reptilian lines and lineages. Okay, and it means the arc means because mono means one and then arc means ruler over top, monarchy. So it's like they're placing that frequency fence over one's body and templating. But it's also a plug and seal that grants unconscious submission to that ruler over the top of you. So in that sense, like that monarchy seal in its sense, in itself, is satanic ritual abuse. It is a form of it. Like, because that's what the SRA is about. It's a blood sacrifice, but it's also like one submission to it in a sense, right? And so by them placing these seals, it disallows you from being able to have the rights, honestly, to spiritual documentation, which would allow you to keep any sort of record keeping of your family lineage of the past 3 to 5 generations. So it basically exerts you immediately from any sort of royalty inheritance, right? And you're already knocked down multiple pegs on that hierarchy like structure from the apex of the reptilian like blood gene code. And so they dissolved the ability to record keep. And it's one of the necessities that keeps the monarchy in reign. So they disable everybody else's on the planet, especially if you're like very hybridized within race lines and cultures and past lives and timelines and multiple galactic factions. It's basically disabled within the fourth strand of the DNA, and it's sealed in a monarchy vault and code of silence. It's considered a declaration seal in wax. You can see it holographically in people's chests. It's multiple stamped multiple times. Now, when I talk about the seals that I was seeing or witnessing, I was seeing this in Kate Middleton's field when I tuned into Kate Middleton. Okay, so that's why I'm bringing this up, is because psychically, I actually seen it in her field. I'm just taking a second to look at the comments because I was on a roll there for a minute. Got inside my head. Yes, time to heal. Absolutely, Alton. Pia says, what heavy load do these queens carry? What do they carry for us, divine feminine? What about the RH negative? Yes, it plays into that. It plays into the reptilian bloodline and the forced breeder programs and how they're implementing Princess SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse, for hybridization of their reptilian hybrid babies, basically. These princesses are chose for a reason. And this is a common theme that's been happening. This has been going on, you guys, for a long time, right? Princess Diana was the one who brought it to our attention and our awareness of this was playing out within the royalty. This was playing out within rulership, leadership. And it's actually a very common thing that these reptilian bloodlines, I mean, how you can see that a forced breeder program is running is they do sacrifice the mother. The mothers get sacrificed essentially because they really just want the offspring. This is kind of what the goal of the reptilian forced breeder program. They're not necessarily as shy about it, right? They're not as shy about it. So if anything gets in the way of these children and their right to their energy field, their consciousness, their mind, they dispose of the mother. And they use all of the forces of the satanic and Luciferian realm and field, basically, because yeah, the highest level tiers of reptilians are conjuring like elemental forces that directly connect with the satanic forces on the earth. They directly connect with like Malak in the Baphomet field. And it connects entirely into violent religion. And basically what they do is they work with energetic forms that possess the mothers technically by the lower spirits, and then control them and feed into the satanic force field essentially. And so all of this is really, a lot of it's come down through patriarchal domination and control, through religious doctrine, and more of like a false father. So more of like a vengeful or hateful God, more of like a the worship of Yahweh and Metatron, and gosh, I felt like saying King of Solomon, and really like these negative pharaonic priests. And the entire obelisk network and obelisk system that exists in the earth is basically holding the staple of the forced breeder programs into the grids because it's sexualizing and dominating the ovum of this Vesica Pisces. Okay, and so wherever you see these really powerful locations where there's massive obelisk networks and systems running, I was even picking up just now that for the UK that it ties into even the stone circle systems as well. Stonehenge, right? Because Stonehenge is one of the fallen Nephilim breeder grounds. So that's why the stones at Stonehenge are basically artificial. Oh my gosh, this feels so heavy on my womb right now. I have to take a drink. Mm. It's like bringing in like my Irish part of the bloodline coming in, going like, ugh, because the Irish women were really ran through this. The Irish women were like the creme de la creme for the forced breeder programs, right? So, oh my goodness. Yeah, come on in, guys. Check on into this live. We're just getting into this discussion. It is hot out here, and I am having like some womb activations just talking about this right now, going into the depth of the forced breeder programs. And essentially, they're sacrificing princesses. I mean, and I know you guys want me to explain this, probably, right? Like, how are they sacrificing Kate Middleton? How are they sacrificing Princess Diana? And who is Latifa? Okay, so this is what the reptilian bloodlines do. They sacrifice their princesses. They sacrifice the mothers, basically. Um, and we have to talk about how and why they choose them in the first place. So you may have heard kind of on the news more recently about Kate Middleton, because right now the story goes that Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, the Princess of the Red Dragon, she married into the lineage of the Red Dragons. She's come down with some form of serious stomach cancer. I guess she went in for like a common surgery, and she has reported back that, or her test came back that she had some form of stomach cancer and that they're going to start like a preventative chemotherapy. And so, you can find this on YouTube and stuff. She issued like a public statement, but the mystery is right now, and the big kind of odd question mark within all of this is that they're saying that she's no longer going to return back to her royal duties. People are saying that she's not, and there's a lot of like questioning around this. And as of now, the message is that she's not really going to come back to work. I just find it kind of odd. I just find it kind of strange. I mean, she's a young woman. I think she's probably like super early 40s, if that. I think, okay, she was born in 82. She's born in 82, and, she's lived a very eloquent life, like a very delicate life. Like, and this is how these princesses get chose, because she's Kate Middleton herself. She's technically like royal blood herself. I mean, she's technically like a duchess. If you guys have seen the movie The Duchess, you want to, yeah, watch a movie on forced breeder programs. Watch The Duchess. This is a classic forced breeder program. The woman is selected to breed children and offspring. She is required to give an heir. Okay. And if she can't at least give one male heir, she's disposable. Okay, because her role is to breed an heir. This is a forced breeder program. This is what it's about. So Kate Middleton, a woman who is from a landed gentry. She's from a gentry. So this means that she is British nobility. Okay, so she is a aristocrat, technically. Like, her family is somebody who holds like an honorific title in the kingdom, in the reptilian kingdom. Okay, and so she probably comes from already like a hybridized bloodline, a reptilian bloodline, but she would be carrying higher crystalline codes. And odds are she has a pure angelic soul body. Okay, odds are she is a 12, within her coding, she is a Mary Magdalene bloodline. This is why I've seen the fleur-de-lis implant in her already. There's probably deep connections to like French and even Merovingian bloodline connections to her. And also Essene as well. So she is a crystal holder. She's a crystal bloodline. Now, they're going to know that, especially if she's carrying a fleur-de-lis implant. The reptilian line, the royalty bloodline, okay, they're going to be able to track that in her field and select her for that accordingly for breeding. So essentially, that's kind of what is playing out with Kate Middleton. It's always so strange that these princesses seem to end up in tragedy, basically. So, yeah, she's come down with this rare form of stomach cancer, and she's been seeking treatment in undisclosed places. They're saying she's not even seeking her treatment in Kensington Palace or Buckingham Palace or the United Kingdom. She's going outside of the United Kingdom, like leaving some sort of belief that maybe the healthcare system in the UK isn't actually up to par to treat a princess. But I mean, she's basically disappeared to heal her cancer, but with this unknown, like she doesn't know if she's going to return to her royal duties at all. It's just kind of strange that she would come down with something like this. I know that cancer is like on the rise. She probably did take the kill shot. She probably did take the needlecraft. Okay. So this could have played into this as well. But again, this may have also been behind what is sitting behind that reptilian agenda in the first place. Okay, we know that they're deeply connected to Zionism and Zionites and Zionists and Zetas. And so all of that is falling under, the web of population control and all of the stuff that they're doing. But Kate Middleton was selected to breed. So now that they have their offspring, they don't really need the mother anymore. Especially if she poses any sort of threat in any way with keeping those children from stepping into their reptilian role. Okay, there could be things going on behind the scenes where she could be seeing things or noticing things or commenting on things or having a sense of needing to protect her children's angelic light body from certain sorts of behaviors or mentalities. Okay, and so if this has caught the whiff of the apex predator, there would be need to get her out of the way, so to speak. Just looking at the comments again, guys. Cat says, this is mind-blowing. Thanks, Indy, for sharing the intel. This is crazy. It is crazy, right? Like, to wrap our minds around it in this way, that's why I was like, I'm not sure how to approach even really talking about this. Should I be like upset? Should I be angry? Should I be in high spirits? I don't know. I have this like mixed bag of emotions with this. Like, it doesn't feel good to think about the fact that what's kind of playing out in the forefront of public media and politics is literally a dangling forced breeder program right in front of our faces. You know what I mean? But we have to be willing to look at it because this is about awareness. I just want to say first and foremost, this is about awareness. I want people to be aware of this betrayal wound between men and women, between bloodlines, between races, between what's kind of playing out collectively here in terms of what we have to heal planetarily. We talk about our global healing and what's going on, what gets us to New Earth. It's about healing. And so, we have to be able to see how this is unfolding. Catherine announced in March through a video message filmed by BBC Studios that post-operative tests had found cancer, and the palace said she had been undergoing chemotherapy since late February. Her medical leave from public engagements was subsequently extended. You know, obviously that is understandable. You know, if you come down with a cancer diagnosis, you're going to need to pull away from the public eye and take that time to really heal yourself. I just hope that there's not anything more sinister and tragic waiting for her at the other end, or that there wasn't something more sinister and tragic that caused that cancer in the first place. I mean, clearly, again, we know the needlecraft tech, but that they wouldn't have been doing something like poisoning her or, you know, I mean, you just really like have to try to fathom the whole picture here, you know, because she's so young. And wouldn't they be feeding her like the best foods? I mean, you know, they have personal and private chefs, and that they would be getting farm to table foods and organic fresh foods and the best of the best. And then plus being in such a public eye and a public role, I feel like Kate Middleton has taken a very elegant approach to like the way she's been publicly represented. I mean, it's not like Harry and the other gal, what's her name? The other prince's wife. Just drop it in the comments if you know it. I can't remember her name. They've been rebellious, right? They've rebelled. Meghan, yeah, Meghan Markle, Meghan Sparkle, whatever her name is. She is like you know, they're more, I think, aware of what happened to Princess Diana. At least Harry seems to be like very traumatized by what happened to his mother, right? So he's carrying more of the crystalline DNA. He would be carrying more of his mother's angelic gene code, right? To rebel. That's what we're watching. We're watching a black sheep, right? We're watching someone who is like seeing the force breeder program running and I guess wanting to protect his family or whatever. This is the story, so to speak. But Kate, I think, has always presented herself in a way that there's this classiness to her. She doesn't fight the establishment. She's all for the establishment and her role as princess. And so it's just, it would be so that they would disguise her elimination through something more that could be more integrated by the collective, so to speak. You know, any way that they're going to knock off a princess or use her for SRA, okay, sacrifice her for the offspring or for the hybridized reptilian children, they're going to do it in a way that could be questioned to a point that people are unsure. Absolutely. I mean, that's all part of the game. That's part of the tactic. They have to leave something to not accuse or indict or judge or inflict conviction. So, and it's the same with Princess Diana, right? Princess Diana was also sacrificed to the red dragon lineage for offspring, reptilian royalty. Okay. Diana was also born into British nobility. She was also considered a duchess. She was born to a very prestigious, noble bloodline, also a duchess. Princess Diana was actually baptized at a St. Mary Magdalene church. Okay, if that doesn't tell you, she was of a Mary Magdalene bloodline. Okay, she was the feminine Christ bloodline. You know, 12D ascension holder, 12D strand. She probably came in like 6 strands lit up. Diana was also rebellious against the reptilian family behaviors. So now she went down with a bang, right? She was essentially murdered in cold blood. They said that Princess Diana may had also even been pregnant at that time with Dottie Fade. So so this is the story. So Dottie Fade was her lover, okay, after being married to Charles. And essentially he was a Muslim man. Okay, this is the whole thing about this is what I mean, that if the princess and the mother poses a threat to the offspring and the influence of the offspring's behavior, role, presence, what the reptilian family needs that reptilian hybridized child to do or be, basically, they're going to eliminate her. So Diana had got involved with a Muslim, and this, of course, poses a threat to the British monarchy. This, of course, poses a threat to the influence of her offspring, right? They don't want a Muslim like influence on the children. You can see why this would have alluded, or this would have pre-contexted the situation with Diana, in which she was basically supposedly got in a vehicle with a drunk driver with her lover, the Muslim Dottie Fade, got into the Mercedes-Benz, drove into the Paris tunnel, followed by paparazzi. Oh, the driver was inebriated and intoxicated. And this is the reason that this crash happened. So there was no meddling, right? No, none of that. But really, I think after they investigated it more, they found that there were a form of bioweapons that were basically used in this scenario. They said that a high pulse, intensely bright light that they shot these in the tunnels, okay? Now they could have posed that under the guise of paparazzi lights while implanting a hijacked host, a lower demonic form that was possessed, to go in and actually run technologies of lights to the car to basically stun the driver to a point that there was neural confusion. Okay, and so that neural confusion, they have all kinds of like weapon systems to like run this tech, basically. Okay, to make things look like there's something that they're not. Basically, the Mercedes-Benz collided with into the concrete at 60 miles per hour, and it ensured the lethality of that through the car's inertia. They said that Princess Diana, when they got to her, she was still alive. She was actually still alive. But they said the force of impact of her body in the car, it caused her heart cavity to literally shift into the right side of her chest. So impacted so hard that the heart flew into the right shoulder, which is just like horrible to think about, that like how painful to feel your heart literally be torn out of your chest. That's what happened to her. They tore her heart out of her chest. If that's not a form of SRA, you guys, it's blood sacrifice. So, you know, this is kind of what the satanic ones do, is they spread these forces on the earth. It's a vampiric killing mentality, where if, you know, this is why dismantling of the reptilian hierarchy and control field, it's a difficult one, right? It's a difficult one in terms of the global healing process that has to happen, because it's literally spiritual terrorism. Literally spiritual terrorism. And it's really through misogyny. The SRA is through misogyny, patriarchal domination and control. And this is over men and women. I guess we could be thankful that the royal reptilian bloodlines, like, we know that child sacrifice is happening, but you know, at least they seem to protect, it does seem like they're protecting their own offspring at certain cost. But unfortunately, they want to dispose of the mother. They want to dispose of the princess. Ooh, it is a hot one out today, you guys. Ooh. Yeah, Pia, that's what they're saying, that Princess Diana could very well have been pregnant and that they were trying, so that would have been a form of child sacrifice. But yeah, they would have been sacrificing both the princess and the child. So this is why it's, imperative that people know about the forced breeder programs. I mean, this is kind of what's playing out. It doesn't, I mean, and the sacrifice isn't always over fertility. Isn't always over needing the for the first breeder program, like for the reptilian hybridized child. There's another situation, and this was the missing princess that I was talking about from Dubai. Essentially, this princess, her name is Latifa Mohammed Al Maktoum. Okay, and so this princess essentially is one of the daughters of the Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum from Dubai. So this is the royalty family of Dubai. This is the prime minister of the UAE, his daughter. She's hybridized with an Algerian bloodline. Okay, an original Berber, an original Atlantean priestess. Oh my gosh. Just blows my mind. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. This, okay, woman basically fought back, okay? And I was like, honestly, I wasn't going to speak about it when I did the Dubai update, but I feel like because I've switched gears and topics, I'm going to bring it up. This is stuff you can find on YouTube. You can go find the videos of Latifa speaking about her story, what happened to her, what happened in the royal kingdom there. And it makes sense, right? Because if you think about the descendancy of the reptilian lines, well, we have the red dragon lineage in the UK, the reptilian royal British crown, right? You think about Dubai, this is all about a British oligarchy that has gone to Dubai. I mean, these are all people who have descended down their genealogy through old Turkish bloodlines, old Arabian bloodlines, old other bloodlines that are actually have genealogy and ties to the Black nobility lines. They have ties to the British crown, to the British oligarchy. So you can see how, like, where the reptilian family goes, you're going to find Princess SRA. You're going to basically find them sacrificing the princesses. Okay. For Latifa's case, it's not necessarily a forced breeder program. For her, it's basically fighting back against the system or the machine or the corruption, just like you see with any black sheep of the family. Like, there's something inside your soul because you're an angelic soul body, you're gonna inherently and innately push back against the evil. So for her, it was about trying to escape it. She tried to escape the hostility of it all, and essentially they captured her and took her for torture. And so she went through a lot of torture. Supposedly, she's free now and she lives in another country and she's successfully gotten over this, but nobody's actually really seen her. Nobody's actually gotten an update from her. The last anybody ever actually truly heard from this princess was her distress video that she put out, that if you watch this video, it's not good. I've either been killed or I've been basically taken as a prisoner. And, they're a little, the brutality of the reptilian behavior there is definitely a lot more severe in that place, right? So she was like physically tortured. She was beaten and things like this. So her story is really interesting. I really would recommend looking into Princess Latifa, as a side study or whatnot, to get a better understanding and handle on how this is playing out in multiple ways. But the Princess SRA is real. Woo! OG Indigo says, as long as celebrities still exist, created influences, aka movie stars, etc., will always be the dimensional pawns. I mean, clearly, yeah, the Kardashian family. That's like a satanic campaign just in itself. Guiding people to mutilation of their body and like consumption, consumerism, capitalism, all of these things. But also there's a new propaganda movie that just came out. Has anyone seen the movie Civil War? So they're pre-referencing a lot of things that, they're wanting to play out in the collective right now. These are all forms of SRA, like you said, the industry of Hollywood. And it's so interesting that Dottie Fade, who was Princess Diana's lover, the Muslim man, he was a director in Hollywood. So this was another need to dispose of Diana, right? Because of course, the British monarchy, reptilian bloodline family, that would pose a threat to them. That would pose a serious threat to them and need to dispose of Diana, right? Because if there was any movies to be made about them exposing truth, all of that's playing out behind the scenes essentially. But yeah, Princess Diana, Kate Middleton, horse breeder programs, taken or chosen as a mother for their pure crystalline DNA, their pure feminine Christ, their pure angelic soul body. Okay. And, we're forced through a force breeder contract essentially. And so I've talked about these force breeder contracts and implant systems for a very long time on my channel. As I feel like I woke up to the fact that I was seeing a developing implant system, basically that had been revealing itself to me through a lot of my one-on-one work with clients with other divine feminines. So I would start to really see actual implants in their field that would be binding them to the force breeder programs. And so it's a pretty extensive implant system, basically. If there's force breeder chains, there's moon chains. There is the breeder harness that actually goes on the back. It's an etheric holographic implant. Okay, and this causes women to have a lot of anxiety. Okay, a lot of shoulder pain, back pain. This really ties one to and this has something to do with the moon. So in terms of planetary warfare and history, the reptilian body gene code somehow I feel like, has maybe, and I'm wondering if there's not like a sub-race morphogenetic field like in the moon that they've somehow have accessed and chained like the women to that, right? Because a lot of times how I see like the moon chains is like women carry them on their back where they can't see them in their field. So they're tied to like many realms and cycles of reproduction and suffering. So it almost even comes through with like the creation of reproduction and fertility itself, how these force breeder programs like are embedded into it as a parasite that's hijacked the incarnation gate system, basically. Yeah, it ties them to cycles of suffering, making them keep bringing like the imposter race lines in. because there are imposter race lines. There are also disincarnated spirits. There's also refugee spirits, right? Like refugee races, and when you're pulling in a refugee race, you don't really know what type of like galactic traumas and wounds you're bringing into your planet, right? Um, so anyways, they placed the control harness on the female. Basically, this was an attempt to force breed them, to keep them in place for the Nephilim. This is where this really came in, to mate with the digressive reptilians with the Anunnaki bloodline. This supposedly didn't happen on our planet. It originally, originally, originally it supposedly happened on Nibiru and Mars. But it did continue to ensue and play out and unfold on our planet. So it does tie down to metal rings and to circuit chains in the body. So it's becomes very circuitry wired within the feminine as well. This is where certain divine masculines who are carrying the reptilian tracker tag of the it's basically the King of Tyranny implant. Now, not all masculines carry this, right? Some of them came to mate in terms of true 5D union, which would bring in like a higher dimensional soul incarnate, and that it's like a very supported, like healthy family dynamic. It's a very high spiritual evolution birthing process. How that this has happened is like there's no pain during birth. The woman doesn't have pain giving birth to that offspring. So that's one indicator. Also, there's probably more congruency with their genetic similarity. This is why twins often like look like each other, right? Is because, or like a high soulmate, whatever. It really like doesn't matter, but it's like it's a higher union that would create more harmony, balance between the twin set of codes between the mother and father mitochondria for that baby to be born with the highest DNA codes activated, right? So when women are basically forced out of alignment to that to breed and mate with that, this is where you have more degradation to the genetic sheath, the genetic encoding, the proteins, the mitochondria, to a point. They force bred to a point, you guys, that men are literally going instinct on the earth. Men are going instinct. I ah, I've been seeing this since I was a child. Since I was a child, I have intuitively tuned into the fact that men are going extinct. The Y chromosome carries more degradation on it. It carries like more like it can't repair itself the same way that the females can. Okay, so every time that more manipulation, modification, needle tech, all this stuff is superimposed on to us, it deteriorates the Y chromosome. So men are predicted to go extinct. Like I keep psychically getting the timeline 10 million years, 11 million years, but they're gonna be, so yeah, men, this is this is not like a man hating thing talking about this. It's just ultimately bring awareness around this. This isn't, I mean, research this stuff. Don't take my word for it. Do the vetting of all this information yourself, research this stuff yourself, look into the Y chromosome and what's happening to it, from researchers and mad scientists that are conducting this into their data library. And, I feel like we can actually see it. Like there are more females being born than there are males. You're more likely to breed a female than you are a male. If a woman is parthenogenically able to birth, she will birth a female more likely. It will be easier to replicate. She can replicate another female more likely than she can replicate a male. So yeah, essentially essentially these are sexual fertility and reproduction slavery cords. And so, yeah, particularly the Orion groups, right? Like we're aligned with the Orion system right now. So it's like all of the Orion dirt is coming up to be seen. Like really, I mean, I think they're the ones that are using the most magnetic imprint of the moon and the black hole energy system to bring in incarnates, like the power of the black hole energy system. Tapping in and utilizing the reincarnation egregores. Okay, pulling soul fragments out from those. Oh my gosh, that just feels so like, ugh, right? Um, all of this is kind of responsible for what's inherently creating like the gender manipulation, separation, distortion, sexual confusion, artificial womb fracking and hijacking, surrogacy. Surrogacy is an Orion force breeder tech, okay? Like completely replacing the original mother's like bond. I mean, it's basically removing the original mother's like on some level the energetic blood bond to the offspring, right? So those children will become SRA to the collective ultimately because those children have a higher level of being abandoned basically by the original mother and the original father. Okay, so it's breeding all kinds of distortions, right? These force breeder harnesses. Women have to be able to see this and identify it inside themselves because it's a part of the global gender healing that has to happen. The separation, the duality within gender has to be basically unified and healed and brought back into wholeness. And so we do that by healing ourselves, by healing the planet, right? So it's all coming back to this, right? At the end of the day, like the purpose of this serves for us to spin this in a way that is salvageable. Okay, that is not salvageable. But it's the main implant that's mainly responsible for damage that's been incurred to the incarnational stargates on the earth. It's disrupted the material planes, the spiritual planes, like true spirits that would be coming in. You know, it's going to impact a level of trauma in the atomic level of the soul structure coming in. And so it's definitely a fourth dimensional heart damage and soul-based trauma on these souls coming in that are bonded to circuitry of a force breeder chain, basically. So, I mean, this causes a lot of self-hatred for women. Women like really hate themselves because of this like sexual karma, the sexual collective loop. It leaves a lot of women feeling not good enough because there's a selection problem or a selection process within birthing as well. Like there's weird stuff that's playing out within that energetically, emotionally. There's women who will often like even some women like severe cases of women who have been traumatized through the force breeder programs because there's women who can go through force breeder programs and hold their head above water, but there's some that don't and they slip, right? And they have like the most severe and traumatic forms of it. Hence Kate Middleton, hence Princess Diana coming to tragic endings. Like this is what it plays out for the mother, is tragic endings. But so because the mother can sense and pick up on these things, they can hate themselves. They can hate their life. They can hate what they're involved in. This is all trauma that occurs, right? Because they're aware of this playing out. It can cause them to hate their own children and like go through processes of that. You see this all the time when these broken family dynamics where people don't know why their parents don't love them. People don't know why, you know, because the mother maybe sees a likeness in the child that's more of the reptilian trait and starts to reject the children. What do we think postpartum is all about? there's something within postpartum that's not normal and not natural. Postpartum will make a woman reject her baby. I'm just coming back to the comments. Okay. Tuning back in, y'all. Virgin Hamilton says Megan is a 5D Palladian, one of them. Okay. Pleiadian, 5D Pleiadian soul. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that she's probably holding, yeah, because I mean, just by the way that Harry and Meghan have rejected, I mean, they've forfeited their roles basically, and I think they're living in California, which doesn't make it any better that they've run to California and probably trying to survive off of their media and Hollywood deals and stuff. But you know, they're running from one form of satanic ritual abuse to another, right? Trying to escape one evil to another evil. Azek says, unmatrix yourself. Macon, what can divine masculines do to heal draconian energy in self and the collective associated with breeding programs? So yeah, men and women both carry a set of implants and seals that are related to this. For men, whether you feel you have it or not, it's good to remove the King of Tyranny implant, you know, because it does implant like a predatorial tracker tag within your consciousness to hunt women versus I don't know, like respect them and honor and love them in the right ways and like be more familial service to family and service to others versus service to self. Also for men, because what I mean, the thing is men have been ran through the SRA entirely as well. So circumcision, this is an SRA wound. That in itself, I think, takes men to the core of just having to repair their masculinity as they survived genital mutilation right out the womb, which caused severe fracture and separation with trust and safety within their imposter parents a lot of times because they have imposter parents or they've been, you know, groomed, parental grooming into reptilian and SRA. So they're recovering from hybridization. That's basically what SRA is. SRA is hybridization trauma. And the blood calling and the bloodletting that happens after that because it comes with blood sacrifice. That's what circumcision is. So to kind of heal that and then also work to heal like hedonistic implants, okay, because they're dealing with the dark sexual side of things, the distorted and perverted sexual side of things a lot of times. So porn implants. A lot of times this is also environmental implants as well because of the endoctrin, like impact on the endoctrin system, which the hierarchy knows in which they're doing, like estrogenizing the collective through the foods that they give us. They know that they're doing that. So it's another form of distortion and implants that the men have to do to release, to heal. Also get to the bottom of the betrayal wounds, going back to the original tribal genocidal wounds. But this is a part of the problem is because they run reversals and distorted like consciousness and distorted lenses through the original tribal genocidal wounds themselves. This is why there's so much warfare over spirituality in the islands of Kauai, Hawaii. So, because this is where it ultimately incurred and fractured and took place. So yeah, there's a lot that men can be doing. I personally have a masculine implant removal that like I do to help guys with identifying those things and then also extracting and releasing them the same as I do with women as well. So I do have those 2 sessions that you could book, you know, male or female. And then sometimes men or women will also, like if you're a woman, sometimes a woman will remove the feminine implants and then also remove the masculine implants as well, because, you know, we do carry both distortions technically. Joshua James says mind is masculine, heart is feminine. Hope that helps. Also, right brain, left brain. Also, the positive charges in the body are masculine. The negative charges in the body are the feminine. Macon says, I'm healing Orion energy. Wow, this energy update resonates with so much of my experience. Yes. Well, I think this is kind of what's coming to the forefront of the collective right now as we tune in with the Orion energies is more like sexual distortions, relationship distortions, family distortions, because it's all playing out within the separation of duality. It's all playing out within the separation of gender and light and dark. This is kind of what the Indigo 3 template is about as well. Namaste, Indy, do you think that Kate is still alive or that her body is double? Good question. So yeah, nobody really actually knows. This is another part of the, I guess, conspiracy of it all, right? Is that why is she disappearing inevitably, right? Like it's kind of fishy, it's kind of strange. Why is she, you think they might have like some reports or some check-ins with her, like they're saying that there was a picture put out of her, but it was superimposed. It was one with her children that they actually put a fake picture of her in. They photoshopped it. And so like all these media journalists across Great Britain basically refused the picture because they knew that she was photoshopped in it. So there's stuff going on that makes it sketchy. It makes it like you can't trust anything that they're telling us at this point. At this point, for all we know, Kate could already have been knocked off for sure. Again, and it makes me really sad because I feel like Kate, she has like a very gentle, like precious and I think angelic code to her. You know, she had quite the life before she ever married Prince Charles. I mean, she's an art history major. She is already doing a ton of like public service type things and like giving back to the community and all of this. So, she had like a true humanitarian heart. And for something like this to happen, it's just like, it's just strange. It's strange that they want to SRA all their princesses because there are bigger agendas with those children. Prince William's children and Kate Middleton's children are the next heir to the line of the throne. So you can see how, sorry guys, I get itchy when I start getting hot. We're jumping in the pool after this, just so you know. I think it's a good day to take a dip. And honestly, I felt the pool last night and it is finally the perfect temperature for night swimming because during the beginning of spring and summer, it's kind of too cold, so I'll swim during the day because it's warm and I like the sun because I just like to be warm. That's why I live in Florida. I cannot handle anything cold. I have severe forms of temperature intolerance. This comes with my ascension that I have to go through and deal with because I have severe sensitivities. But basically last night I felt it and the water was so warm. I was just like, okay, it's perfect for night swimming. So when the full moon is out, I'm going to be in this pool, you guys. Okay, yes, so true. The King of Tea, it is one of the heaviest implant. Yeah, King of Tyranny implant is. It's not only like in people, really most of the implant systems, like they're most impaled into the Indo-European bloodlines. So all of the Caucasian bloodlines, because of their descendancy, basically. Um, yeah. So they're gonna really carry that, but it is in other places of the world. Like I think a lot of the Asian cultures like really have taken on the King of Tyranny implant, like North Korea, South Korea, China, Russia, most definitely. I mean, anywhere that's holding the Aquila, like if they're holding the Aquila or the eagle, the phoenix, the falcon, or the dragon, as symbols in their coat of arms, they are King of Tyranny implant holders. Even the lion as well. So that's also been hijacked. So, and that tells you parts of the Lyran factions are hijacked. And I personally feel that the lion, faction would be hijacked in the Lyran system because the pure form of the Lyran templating is avian. I saw one of your shows. RRR clan was mentioned. Who are they? RRR clan. Maybe be more specific. I'm not recalling that so much. I'm sorry. Through projective programming. Thank you for your response. I will book a session. Yeah, yeah, it's really good. I do a lot of data intake with those sessions. Like I really try to get an idea of how extensive the implants are running within your field. Like how many of them do you carry? What degree do you carry them to? It's really important to kind of dissect the labyrinth of it running within you according to past lives and timelines and your history and your experiences, because it's hiding in so many places that it's just a huge declaration of sovereignty to your, I guess in a way, your gender identity. And I feel like gender identity, like that term gets reduced into the distorted form of that, right? Because we see that through like the transhuman agendas. But it's really like your looking glass of like the energy in which you put forward and that you sit most comfortably in. So if that's damaged in some way, then you're not sitting comfortably in relationships. You're not sitting comfortably in communicating with other people. Like it blocks up so much. This is why the throat chakra is one of the most heavily damaged chakras in accordance to your sacral, right? Because all of this is really corded in these chakra systems. Pia recommends my removals. Thank you, Pia. Joshua says he's been trying to channel Kate's presence and he got nothing. Wow. I remember when she went to see the Furburge egg talk about symbolism. Yeah, so it's really interesting with Kate. I hold a lot of empathy and honestly compassion around this because I mean, I do feel that I've been ran through the forced breeder programs myself multiple lifetimes, as many women have. You know, we carry the fleur de lis implant, and let me tell you about this fleur de lis implant. Hang on one second, because I'm like going up to my notes that I have in front of me, because basically what the fleur de lis implant is. So this is okay. So this is what's so crazy about it myself is so I had picked up on this etheric implant. It's basically the womb itself. It's so crazy that my cup literally has it today. I'll show you. Um, so this is like the vagina, right? And this is like the womb, and this is the fallopian tubes, basically. And so what the fleur de lis implant does is it's literally like this clamp. So they're basically clamping the gate. This is what it looks like holographically or ethically or energetically in the womb. It's a clamp that goes on the Stargate, the incarnation gate. And it's a way that they can control it by the King of Tyranny implants and the predatorial reptilian hunting force to track a female that's going to have this, basically to mate with. So it's a part of the tracking device of the forced breeder programs in general across the board that's come down through the Cathars, the Crusades, the Templars, the Mary Magdalene bloodline, the Medusa bloodlines, the Black Madonna, the Black Lilith, even Eve. Eve was supposedly taken for a forced breeder program after the original split occurred. And this is why Cain and Abel were destructive. This is why Cain and Abel were brothers of fratricide. So forced breeder programs birthed fratricide and the competitive mindset. There's also the 12 stars of Mary's crown. This is the 12 patriarchy stars. And really the royalty bloodlines of the reptilians superimpose this. Queen Elizabeth superimposed, well, not Queen Elizabeth. She wore it as a crown. She wore it as a crown, but it was originally Mary's crown because it represents the 12 apostles. It represents the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 masculine apostles controlling her field. So it really blocks up for women the 7th to 10th dimensional fields in the divine feminine. They talk about it in the book of Revelations, actually. So they did install this in the book of Revelations, the 12 stars of Mary's crown. It came through a vision of John in the book of Revelations. It's also one of the implants, again, that's responsible for the crying out of the birth pains, the agony of giving birth. It's linked to childbirth pain. They even talk about this in Revelations as a red dragon, actually, because it was a red dragon that was called to pursue the woman, to cast the angels down from heaven. And then the dragon would wage war against the angels. So really, when you're removing these types of things, you're literally removing your healing the struggle with evil in your life. That's what you're doing. You're trying to remove the implants to heal with struggle that's come between you and your womanhood, you and your sexuality, you and your relationships, you and your femininity. For masculines, them and their masculinity, them and their relationships. It's all like, they're basically all SRA implants. So yeah, I seen the fleur-de-lis in Kate Middleton's field. I also seen the Monarchy seal in Kate's field as well. So she was sealed off with the seal of the Monarchy. It's called the seal of the realm. But Queen Elizabeth was the one who wore the huge collar, and she was considered the Virgin Queen. Now, forced breeder programs can play out in the opposite as well, because if a woman, especially if she's of the Irish descent or West African or even African American, she's going to have more recent memories, more recent trauma. Like, it's going to be very like, so she may have came in and chose not to have children. She may have came in and chose to remain a virgin all her life. Like, this is where a lot of these choices kind of come in, is because women will remember suffering so much through these breeder programs that it will entirely like allude to all of their decisions in this life. Woo! It's hot. I'm starting to warm up, you guys. I'm probably gonna have to jump off here soon. It may be time to go get some lunch, actually, too. What's everybody having for lunch today? Can anyone stomach to eat after a conversation like this? Oh my goodness. Let's say Cat says, mind blowing. I am so grateful to Spirit for creating internet so that you can share your research with us, Indy. I can't believe this has been going on for so long. Yes, it's been going on for a very long time. And it's just maddening. It's really maddening, honestly. It's unfortunate because it's the offspring that ultimately do suffer. It's the children that do suffer, because the children who are born in these hybridized reptilian breeder lines and in the royal red dragon albino reptilian bloodlines, okay, the trauma these kids are carrying. Like, it's because it impacts their own light. It consumes themselves. It's another reason for the reptilian family to need to control and monitor that child so closely in terms of how they're being programmed, because they can't have any of these things get out. They can't have any mishaps, so to speak. They can't have this child corrode. Basically, they can't, because it will be too much of a infliction, or how they would see it, like an energetic curse upon their own bloodline. So they would rather them submit to the reptilian domination and force within them, and then just feed off of their own angelic code. People who are born into more degraded lines where this has occurred, a lot of times this is where you see like children that hit puberty, because puberty is like a huge marker or indicator for whether a hybridized reptilian child will go, you know, in the angelic direction, or if they're going to go more in the like reptilian direction. It's because the hormones. So the hormones are going to affect that push, basically. And this is where you see like where kids turn to the bad forces of things, right? Because what's the warfare that's playing out inside them is so intense that they a lot of times can't get a handle over their own life. So addiction or drugs, or like just going down a bad path or a dark path, they have to again rehabilitate. They'll get to a point that they'll go through a deep awakening. This is also what the awakening process is about, is to overcome that. But it will be, you know, we'll have to rehabilitate. So they'll this is a part of the forced breeder trauma, is the awakening process as well, because you have to awaken out of that deception and pull yourself back into alignment. Yeah, guys, if you haven't put a like on the video today, please put a like on this video, comment on this video in the comment section as well. And also share this out to your other truther friends who, you know, maybe you have known some females that have been ran through forced breeder lines. I've seen the worst of the worst at this point. I have seen the worst of the worst. Absolutely. It's when you see women who are deeply wrapped up in child protective services, women who are deeply wrapped up with the legal system, getting their children taken away, like having to fight the system, where the system or the Saturnian hand has come against them, and things like this, or it has completely torn families apart. These are all families that are like torn through child abuse, child support, child, you know, family trauma, child family investigation systems, things like this. Like this, these are all people that are like keeping their head above water through forced breeder programs, basically, like because they don't care what happens to them after they've bred, basically. Again, you guys, this is why the trip in Kauai, Hawaii is so important to basically be manifested, because not only do they have a strong hold over like the breeder situation, right? This is why they war so much over women's wombs, right? Like where they're warring over abortion, whether it's legal, whether it's not, birth control, whether women should take it, whether or not, why there's no birth control for men. You know, it's the war over the woman's womb. Ultimately, this is what our entire existence revolves around. Those reptilian bodies want access to the womb gates. These are the incarnation gates. They want access to every single one that they can basically dominate and control. And they want the best quality. They want the best tier. Hence, Kate Middleton, Princess Diana, being the Duchess, being of land gentry bloodlines, being of British royal nobility bloodlines. This means that their parents were basically dukes, or their parents were basically lords. So they're getting the creme de la creme bloodlines, right? The best wombs that they can find with fleur-de-lis implants, still Mary Magdalene bloodlines, and putting them through forced breeder programs. And then those are ending tragically because they are the highest line of those forced breeder programs. So it's really crazy, you guys. But you know, we can't see it playing out. So identifying it is key. Again, it's so important why Hawaii, the clearing there, because again, not only is it over the incarnation gates, but it's also over the passing of life and death gate systems. This is what it is. So these are life and death. The incarnation gates are the life gates. The death gates are like Trinity gate sites and harvesting gate sites and looshing gate sites and soul river lines, hijacking soul river lines that will harvest the loosh on the death gate sites, basically on the death vortices. This is what hospital systems are. Hospital systems are, and basically the implant, the caduceus implant that keeps that regulated, so to speak, to pump people in through the harvesting gate systems. So as long as they have a handle on your life and your death, there's an easier chance that they can harvest you into those systems. Now, going back to why this is so important for Kauai, Hawaii, is because what I've been seeing is that gate system on Kauai, Hawaii is an organic, I guess you could call it a death portal. I don't like to use the word death. It just sounds kind of extreme, but like afterlife portal. If you ask like some of the original Hawaiians and things like this, like they send their departed to the island of Kauai. So basically the dark ones have learned how to hijack the same technology of the organic vortice, inner earth gate sites. That's what inner earth gate sites are. They are gate sites that take you to the afterlife. So they've hijacked the technology, and there's probably forms of superimpositions that are playing out over that gate in Kauai that have to be cleared. The negative energy has to be cleared from the passage systems of life and death. This is just something psychically I've been getting over and over, honestly, the last few days about that. And again, why the grid work is going to be really imperative for the United States grid worker mission. So if any of you or my grid workers are here, drop it in the comments if you're a grid worker. Put your indigo type down there. But we're going to be hosting a 4th of July grid worker session. Okay, it's going to be 4th of July at 11 a.m. CDT, so it's going to be an early morning session. So if you're someone who still wants to enjoy the holiday, like the barbecue and the fireworks in the evening, hopefully the session won't take up too much of your time and your day. But I feel like the mission this month going into July, as we're clearing all this crazy Orion energy, is that we tackle some of the deepest wounds inflicted by colonization. Because if you talk about what's really running on the Indo-European bloodlines, okay, the Caucasian bloodlines, is this colonization victim-victimizer program that's affected the United States for centuries. You know, everyone who lives in the States is affected by this trauma in one way or another. And so I think it's really crucial in terms of grid work, and at least for like the US, I mean, this is a global healing. Ultimately, this is global, but this is a good place to focus because we do have a lot of Trinity gate sites here. We do have a lot of harvesting gate sites here. LA, San Diego, I mean, they're really on the West Coast. Also Manhattan, New York, Statue of Liberty. I mean, that's running one there underneath it. Maybe Long Island. I mean, all really like New York, New York. Like there's a lot over there. There's some down in Florida, Washington, D.C., all of this. Like, so the mission is really important, I think, to heal historical wounds on this land, addressing the trauma passed down through generations from the time of colonization. So we have to clear the negative programs and patterning. And I think we also have to celebrate like true freedoms that shift the focus out of excess and superficial celebrations. Like 4th of July has turned into a demonic dousing. I mean, it's probably one of the most satanic days in American human history for SRA. I mean, think about it. All beach and coastal points are flooded with people that are inebriated and intoxicated. This is like the feast of the underworld. The underworld is feasting on this day on all kinds of loosh and sacrifice. And so yeah, the mission plan is to work on the descending cities and descending areas where the harvesting gate sites are located, and then kind of do like a light sweeping all across the nation, activating the Freedom Dove Peace Codes, and calling that clearing into the Capitol building as well, into Washington, D.C., and then working through another clearing there in D.C. So if anyone feels called to join me for that mission work on 4th of July, I feel like it's probably the best and most healthiest thing that you could be doing at this time. You know, don't give in to the partying, don't give in to the corral and the hoopla. I mean, I get the fireworks are pretty, but honestly, fireworks incite World War trauma to run in your field. I mean, all of the banging and popping and exploding of the fireworks initiates traumas deep in your subconscious, fractured traumas from the Dark Ages and from World War timelines. Okay, if you've ever been blown up in war, disembodied, dismembered, even galactic traumas, right? Where you've been blown up from war or you've been blown up from something, a lot of people from the Orion system have. This is like a really common thing. Those fireworks are re-triggering the PTSD from all of those timelines. And you don't even realize it, that it's aggravating your central nervous system. So there's an agenda behind everything, definitely. Oh my gosh. But yeah, you can join me for the Gridwork in DC. That's already up on my services tab, so you can get the drop in for that. It's $44 for the mission, and it's just to hold the container and for the participation and the itinerary that's going to be built for that session. Typically, these are about 3-hour long group sessions. And they're very, very in-depth, very detailed. There's a lot of healing that goes into it. And we're also going to be doing it on Patreon as well. You can get in on my lowest tier on Patreon. It's $11.11 a month. And that's at patreon.com/IndigoAngel. You can join the mission work there. Also, I'm going to be doing an after hours show today. I'm going to be jumping back on at 4:30 on my Patreon to follow up from this update today as well. So if you want to join me over on Patreon at 4:30 today, I was going to do it right away getting off, but honestly, I think I want to go have some lunch and like get some food and stuff. But yeah, come back to the after hours discussion. It's going to be live on Patreon. So I'll leave a link in the description of this video. I haven't put it in there yet. There may be a way to share the link. If any of my patrons are listening, maybe you can share the Patreon link in the chat. If not, I'm going to put it in the description. So just check back in about 10 minutes after I get off the live. I'll put that back in the description. Cat says, what a beautiful plan, Indy. Send all my love and light and seeing this being just the next super successful project of yours, dearest. Oh, thank you so much, sister. Thank you very much. White Swan says, the similarity of Orion's belt to the body of Cygnus is important to know and definitely helpful during these times to observe, receive, and clear so many things in IMHO. Hi, Indigo. I've introduced myself as Ramona, but my name is Sekhmet. I just got your video, but I'll watch it all. Awesome. Yeah, go back and watch the First Breeder program video I just put out. It will help you because I go into much more depth and explanation of everything in that video. I kind of like, you know, filtered through some of the Forest Breeder implants and stuff today. I think one thing we can do in terms of grid worker stuff as well with helping like the global Forest Breeder program overall, like netting, is for one to work on Kauai, Hawaii, that Stargate, right? To heal the inner earth. But also there is another main feminine vortex on the 33rd parallel. And this is really important because the 33rd parallel is where all the patriarchal domination and control seed codes run through the Earth's grid fields. So in front of the Sphinx, directly in front of the Sphinx, there are tumbles, and those connect into a feminine portal. it connects, and that feminine portal connects directly into the 12 central suns. And this alludes to the fact that the fourth dimensional Giza Stargate is a feminine Stargate. So just keep that in mind. Like the whole gate system itself is a feminine gate system. So this connects us into the 12 central suns. It connects us into the 7 central sun. It connects us into the massive diamond disk architecture in the planet in Africa, and then ley lines running into the diamond architecture down into Antarctica. It connects you into the largest diamond templating in the earth, right in front of the Sphinx in Egypt. So this is running the code, the feminine code, 3 times in the earth, right there. So in terms of trying to heal this globally, in terms of force breeder programs, which maybe this is something we'll include in our Washington, D.C. clearing, is to run a clearing through the Sphinx and the Cosmic Holy Trinity Feminine Portal, and then into all of the Mother Arcane sites additional across the globe, running the purity of the 1313 codes, consciousness in the earth. And a lot of that takes us back. Yeah, that will run and loop it back through Hawaii again, Niagara Falls, Bali, Australia, all of the ancient Lemurian land bodies. We have to really heal the mother arcing systems on the planet for this to start to unravel itself into a deeper level of comprehension where we can see like results in the healing when it comes to the forest breeder programs. We have to also heal the dark mother templating and all of the artificial reversal mother energies that are reflected into us through negative lunar, I guess, control. And again, I think it's because they've learned how to control it. Like I said, I think there's some form of a race like a miniature race morphogenetic field command center inside of the moon that the reptilian bodies have some sort of like control over. So that almost has to be released from the moon. Yeah, guys, I feel like I could just go all day. I could just talk and talk and talk and talk. But it's been so lovely to catch up with you all today and talk about this Princess SRA. Please spread awareness about this if you can. I've been sharing it on my TikTok more recently. So if anyone is on TikTok, you can also find me on TikTok. I've been working on my TikTok. I've been putting a lot of like news updates there as well. And I think it's important because there's just like a different collective of people there, like different people you can reach. So feel expanded to reach across the table to share information, because I think a lot of people are really in the awakening phases and processes right now. We had a lot of waves of awakening come in through the activation of the reversal Stargate systems, because it's the reversals that awaken people to their angelic DNA, right? Because there's like something so deep within them that can't take it anymore, that like they have to fight against what it is, right? Like it insults their soul. So awakening happens, like their soul awakens and it's embodied. So I love you guys so much. I hope you have a beautiful everything. And I hope to see you at the Gridwork. I hope to see you in Kauai. I hope to see you for a Lemurian session and implant removal. And have a beautiful everything, guys.